Hey friends, EDDBUD here, and I'm back with an initial review of the New Balance Fuelcell RC Elite. A green fuel cell wonder machine. Can this shoe come near the next percent from Nike? Will it dent its crown or even steal it? Let's find out. Only 235 grams in my UK size 11.5. Yes, 235 grams, 8.29 ounces. So certainly on par with the 236 grams or 8.3 ounces for the Nike Vaporfly Next Percent in the same size. Finally a shoe that's of equal weight. I've only got a size 11 in the Alphafly. I paired that up against it and this is considerably lighter. The Alphafly in a size 11 is 264 grams, 9.3 ounces. So there's a clear ounce less weight here in the Fuelcell RC Elite. The Meta Racer from ASICS and the Brooks Hyperion Elite come close in terms of weight, but this takes it. It really is quite the feather. There's supposedly a 10mm drop here. The stack seems exactly the same as the one found in the Fuelcell TC, which I really enjoyed earlier this summer. Though there is a slight price increase, this one's going to set you back around 200 Earth credits. Sounds worse when it's like a round number like that, 200. Smells good though, so we'll let it off. Certainly an expensive shoe, but one that's ready to race. And train maybe as well. Why not? I went for my normal New Balance size, which is a half up. So I'm about an 11 in Nikes, an 11 in ASICS, but I tend to go up half a size in Hoka, Adidas and New Balance offerings. Be warned though, my friends, this is quite a snug shoe. I'd suggest that you're going to have to play with sizing a little bit on this one. Andy, if you are listening, the FOD runner, I think even if you'd gone for the very highest size, you would have had problems here because it is quite a snug fitting shoe. I really feel for Andy sometimes. He's got exceptionally large feet and he really struggles at times to pick up some of the shoes. They just don't do them in the correct size for him, so it's not a good thing. It's not a good thing. Certainly though, this beautiful beast is a racer, so some people might want it a little bit more on the snug side than normal, but for me it's... Initial runs in the RC Elite were a 10-mile effort, around about 16.1 kilometers at 7 minutes 2 seconds per mile. Typical 10-mile test route on this one. Quite a bit of elevation for the first 5 miles. Good to get nice and close, just inside threshold effort pretty much the whole run. I mean, the half marathon goal pace for me is about 6 minutes 50 per mile, so I was pretty much on the money. In fact, there was a point where I was just going to carry on for the final 3 miles and get it up to a half marathon distance, but I had a prior engagement. I did another 3-mile effort in these this morning as well, 5k, coming in at 20 minutes 4 seconds, 6 minutes 28 seconds per mile, so a little over 4 minutes per kilometre. Upper first. Simple, clean, fitting. Tongue, well padded, appropriate cushion, a little snug in length, a lace loop. That was a big omission on the TC. Lockdown over my foot, absolutely fantastic. I cinched those laces, knotted them, and then I just forgot about it. Plug and play, my good friends. Plug and play. It's like a new pair of jeans really, with a style and fit that's familiar. Like the TC, but more pared down, lighter, airier. Even the insole has got little holes in it. Hey, little holes. This one called out for the thin Nike racing socks, and I duly obliged. Did the job perfectly. Really great fit with those very light socks. This isn't the shoe that you want to throw on if you want to go out for a light 3-mile jog. Just ain't gonna work for you. Go hard or just don't go at all in this one. Found the upper quite supportive. The toe box height is just right actually. Feels like a sports car all over. I felt a little bit like I was in my dad's old Triumph Stag. Absolute minimum weight in the upper here. One thing to note is that there isn't a traditional heel counter. You've just got these plastic overlays around the heel to provide a little bit of rigidity. Some may like that, some may not. I think the upper looks really fire. Mrs. EDDBUD said other things about them. She wasn't really very impressed, I don't think. But I like the upper. I think New Balance have got it on the money. This one looks fire to me. There's nothing I can see here that I don't like about the upper. 13 miles in, it's a 3 out of 3 for me. I don't give those out very often. Midsole now. I got on the bike and it feels a little bit like the TC underfoot. Very similar, but that's no bad thing. I did read that apparently the fuel cell material's a little bit different. I don't think it is. I think it's pretty much the same stuff that's in the TC. You never know with New Balance, do you? Fresh Foam X, different types of fuel cell, who knows? Not entirely sure they know half the time. Certainly though, in hand, the TC and the RC Elite do feel very similar. Bit of a new paint job on the outside there, but I have to say the carbon plate combined with the midsole material here, it really does rock. I knocked out 5 miles of that 10-mile initial run at under 7 minutes a mile. The drop here is significant though. I know a lot of people don't like a big high drop like that, 10 mil, but felt good to me. It's really exciting actually, this shoe, quite audacious. I feel that the drop really does intensify the feeling of propulsion with the shoe. It really did remind me of a cross between the New Balance Fuelcell TC in terms of the squish, the Rebel perhaps in terms of weight, feel and rebound, and the Beacon 1 actually in terms of the upper material. Really does feel like the Beacon 1 a little bit. It's good. I tell you what is good as well, I can smell Mrs. Eddbuds cooking up something really nice downstairs. There's some mushrooms, some pasta, some cheese. She's top notch, I'm telling you. I think to get up to those paces I did in that initial run, certainly around midday when we've got the return of the beautiful UK summertime again, certainly with a headwind as well on those first 5 miles, I was really pleased. I also neglected to take any water with me and lost the gel I'd put in my pocket. So I was out on my own, as it were. I'm getting fitter, that's for sure, but I really did enjoy my initial runs in the Fuelcell RC Elite. I think to some extent it was really enjoying being worn by me as well. The plate's certainly there in toe-off, but for me it was more prominent in terms of the stability that it offers. There's no doubts to me that this shoe feels much more stable underfoot than the TC ever did. I don't know whether that's something to do with the outsole perhaps. I don't really think there's anything different in terms of the plate positioning in the midsole. Maybe I'm just used to running in this shoe because I did loads of miles in the TC. It didn't seem perhaps as floaty or overly compressive as the Fuelcell TC did initially. No info to suggest the foam's any different, certainly in terms of my experiences with the two shoes. Maybe the more fitting upper perhaps creates a more stable feel underfoot. Perhaps the ankle's becoming a bit stronger. Form is more assured. Who knows? Either way, a very enjoyable initial set of runs in the Fuelcell RC Elite. An experience I would suggest is comparable, perhaps not better, but certainly comparable to the Vaporfly Next Percent. I prefer the upper though, hands down, on the Fuelcell RC Elite, and for me, the midsole certainly on par with the Next Percent. I've run a lot of miles in those shoes, so I know how they feel. This one really does work well. A 3 out of 3 for midsole. Outsole now. Got to be very careful with this one, unless you're into cheese grating. Protrusions. Many small pieces of rubber adorn the forefoot and midfoot zones on the outsole of the Fuelcell RC Elite. Yeah, they grip like asphalt craving leeches and bite concrete like hungry stoats. Sublime traction, gotta say. Absolutely sublime. I guess you could use them as like a meat tenderizer as well. Multi-function. It's no bother for any surface with the RC Elite. Very impressed. On my initial runs I had to avoid a few oafs on the mud and the grass, and I found that the outsole here does eat up pebbles and debris, which could be a bit of a fuel cell destroyer I suppose. But on road there's a Takumi Sen style feel. Underfoot it's very similar to the quick strike stuff used on some Adidas shoes. Grip was strong and it was assured.
Impressive. Most impressive.
Oh, that's better. I suggest the outsole here smashes the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit outsole into the floor. Karate Kid style. I think it's on par with the Adi Zero Pro in terms of the outsole grip. I always am honest with you viewers, and I think the outsole rubber here is going to be more durable than the fins found on the Alphafly. There's certainly more bite here than found on the Brooks Hyperion Elite. I think it's probably a bit more versatile than the Vaporfly Next Percent outsole too. On that wet grass, there was no slipping, there was no sliding, there was just a run. I think for me this is pretty much the supreme leader that I've tested so far in the outsole field. I think if the rubber holds up as well as it did on the TC here in the heel, then we got a winner. I'm going to give this a 2.8 out of 3 for the outsole, only dropping a couple of points because, as you can see, it just eats up debris, and that could be a problem over some serious miles. If you get a big old stone stuck in there, it could damage your fuel cell. Value at 200 earth credits, it's right up there in terms of cost. That's wallet pounding stuff. Significant other arguing sort of levels of earth credit abuse. Though it is, you know, 20-30 pounds cheaper than the Vaporfly Next Percent, 20 to 30 pounds more expensive than the training competition version, which is much heavier. It's also 20 or 30 pounds more than the Meta Racer from ASICS and the Hyperion Elite from Brooks. Is it worth it, viewers? That is the question. To me, I found this a superb alternative to the Vaporfly series of Nike running shoes. I think it feels a lot more traditional on foot than the Alphafly does. If anything, this shoe's got more in common with the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit actually, in terms of its underfoot feel. Maybe somewhere between the Vaporfly 4% Flyknit and the Next Percent. I think people might really like the more traditional upper feel if they don't like Vaporweave, for example. I think durability is going to be pretty good on this shoe. I don't really see any major points where it could fail. I can't really see too many issues in terms of a slightly high price point. I think it's very costly, but it will appeal to people that want to possibly use it on a training basis as well, a more daily basis. I don't think you want to run slowly in this shoe, but if you're doing some tempo and speed work, maybe some long runs at tempo paces, then you can race in it as well. I mean, the weight is just so low. It's the only thing really that's come close thus far to the Next Percent. Only the cost is going to lower the score here. I really do feel this is close to perfection. That high cost, it's going to deter people. I'm going to give this a 2.8 out of 3 for value. That gives us 11.6 out of 12, or 96% of the marks for the New Balance Fuelcell RC Elite. So, is this a shoe you're going to go for? Are you scouring the internet for a pair? I've got to say, I'm really bowled over by this one. It really is a tremendous shoe. Let me know your thoughts and opinions on the Fuelcell RC Elite in the comments below. A quick musical interlude for you. I dug back out the superb album Daisies of the Galaxy by Eels. I can remember this album really vividly when I picked it up in Bournemouth when I was there in university back in 1999, something like that. Seems like a lifetime ago. The album holds up really well though. Grace Kelly Blues as the intro track is just brilliant with all its brass section. I Like Birds as well as a real favourite of mine. A song all about how E just particularly likes birds. Wooden Nickels and Selective Memory are really great tracks as well from this one. I do recommend you check it out. It just feels so live, this album. It feels alive. There's lots of live instruments mixed in with loops, just really odd kind of acoustic sounds as well. It sounds like E's positioned the capo up really high up the neck and you get these really bright acoustic sounds. It's a really interesting album with a quite frankly bizarre cover. Check it out, Daisies of the Galaxy by Eels. Thanks for watching through to the very end, guys. I very much appreciate it. Hope you enjoyed the review. This is a shoe that really has blown me away. If you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button and click the bell below for notifications of when I launch those new videos. We're almost at 10,000 subscribers. Thank you so much for those of you who have subscribed already. It really helps the channel out if you give this video a thumbs up like and share it with your running buddies. My name's Ed Bud and I'll be seeing you